Work hard. Be somebody. Be something more than what you see in the mirror. Let the world be your mirror. Don't let them judge you, because the mirror can't judge you. You judge what you see in the mirror.
What's up, YouTube? It's Tyrant Knight, and you're tuned into Ty's Life. I'm about to be reacting to JxmyHighroller. This video was recorded on January 15th, so it was a while back, but I missed this video. Because you know I react. If you watch me, you know I react to JxmyHighroller videos. His videos are lit, informative. Like, you can get a lot out of watching his videos if you watch the NBA. So yeah, the video I'm gonna react to today is the Nets are already breaking records, and they haven't even played a game together. Yeah, this is a while ago. They haven't even played a game together. Yeah, you know, in the title, like this was a while back, but it seemed pretty interesting. Yeah, if there's anything about the Nets, it's pretty interesting, because that team, that was a blockbuster trade with James Harden. So teams kind of looking unfair, but if the Lakers get Anthony Davis back, then it's gonna equal out a little bit when it comes to the finals. But as far as the East, I don't see anybody beating them. I would hope that Raptors would beat them, but it just doesn't look like they have a chance right now because of the comparisons stacking up. It's just too much firepower on the Nets with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. But about to get into this video. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Yeah, try to get to 1K subscribers and as soon as possible. So hit that subscribe button and, you know, support the brother. Let's get it.
Well, after weeks of waiting around for the inevitable, it has finally happened. James Harden has been traded from the Houston Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets. Somehow the Nets managed to keep Kyrie in the process, wherever he's at. But in exchange for their superstar acquisition, the Nets pulled a move right out of the Clippers' book by giving away the future of their organization. A blossoming Karis LeVert is gone, and the best young rim protector in the league in Jarrett Allen is gone as well. Oh, and the Cavs now have 37 centers on their roster. As predictable as this trade was, it's still a blockbuster move by the Brooklyn Nets. It was pretty obvious that Harden wanted out of Houston. From ignoring league protocol to make his daily visits to the strip club, to playing uninspiring basketball with his teammates that can't stand him,
I feel like he was doing that
to a game looking like he somehow put on 72 pounds
in 72
He wore like 3
shirts under that warm-up.
James Harden's time in Houston was clearly coming to an end weeks ago. So now that the Nets have their hands on 3 of the most prolific offensive weapons in the league, how much success will they have this season? This trade was clearly an all-in type of deal. Brooklyn is completely set on winning a championship within the next couple of seasons. But is this even a realistic goal? And what can we expect from this Nets team? Well, I'd like to begin by showing you all a chart of the highest scoring trios in modern NBA history. At the bottom, you have the 2006 Wizards, whose big 3 averaged just over 67 points per game. The 2020 Blazers make an unexpected appearance on this list at just under 70 points per game. You have the 2011 Heat, the 2015 Thunder, the Run TMC Warriors at 72.5 points per game, and rounding out the top 3 highest scoring trios in modern NBA history are the 2019 Warriors, the 2020 Rockets, and the 1984 Nuggets starring Kiki Do You Love Me Vandaway. But no trio in modern NBA history has averaged over 76.7 points per game. And then there's the Brooklyn Nets, who, after acquiring James Harden, have a big 3 that combines for an absurd 83 points per game. Now, of course, Harden hasn't played with the Nets yet, and we can all assume that we will see a dip in their production once they have to share the ball more. But this number only includes Harden's 24.8 points per game he's averaged this season, as opposed to his 30-plus points per game in past seasons. So this number of 83 points per game combined is very realistic, which means this trio is by far the greatest collection of scores on one team the league has ever seen. And it isn't even close. But if we take a closer look at this list of all-time scoring big 3s, it's clear that just putting the ball in the hoop doesn't always lead to success throughout the season. In fact, It rarely does.
I mean,
out of these 14 teams,
the stats show
only
that
6
they're
made it
scoring
past
more,
the second round of the playoffs, and only 1 team actually won the championship that season. And that team was the 2001
like, how
Lakers.
long did they average 83
so
a
let's
game?
take a look at this from a different
But then again,
usage.
Kyrie's
because
a bucket.
let's be honest,
James Harden's a
only one
bucket.
basketball on the court.
Kevin
And as
Durant's
much as I
probably
like to see Kyrie and
one of the
Harden
best
cook
scorers
up
of all
mean
time.
ISO possession,
Probably
this
like
type of
top
basketball
3.
will not work if they
One
want
of
to
the most
contend for a
efficient
title.
scorers ever.
Durant, Kyrie, and Harden combined for an average usage of 94.2%. If we look at the top 5 highest point producing big threes in modern NBA history and their usage, there is only one team that even comes close to the potential usage of this Nets team. And to no one's surprise, James Harden was on that team as well. 2 of the 3 highest usage big threes in NBA history, and James Harden is featured in both. The Warriors being the only team to even make it to the conference finals out of these 5 teams. Okay, but what if we look strictly at the best big threes of all time?
Yeah.
Now, this list is subjective, but in my estimation, these are the best big threes in league history. Now, I'm avoiding adding great duos who had a solid third player, like Shaq, Kobe, and Derek Fisher. LeBron, AD, and honestly, it doesn't even matter. Add anyone you want as the third option. And when we look at these trios, what exactly do they have in common? Well, not much. Many different styles of basketball, different eras, many different all-time greats and championships won. But the one constant that remains is the role of the third option on any given big three. A role that is not easy to take on, and a role that is not welcomed by many players. We saw Chris Bosh go from a dominant first option on a young Raptors team to a third fiddle behind 2 all-time greats. Robert Parrish could have easily been one of the most dominant centers of his era, but instead took a backseat to Larry Bird and Kevin McHale.
Yep.
James Worthy, similar to Parrish, spent his entire career playing whatever role the Lakers needed him to play instead of joining a less successful team and having all the touches he wanted. We just watched Klay Thompson play world-class off-ball offense in order to get his touches in a system that featured 2 of the best shooters the game has ever seen. And you want to know what all of these players received in return of their sacrifice? Championships, respect, a lasting legacy, and winning basketball. Every single one of these third options could have had a team of their own, to call the shots and put up ungodly numbers. But instead, they opted into a much more selfless and rewarding option. This is the key to a successful big three.
That's facts. If you really want to win, you have to make sacrifices. 100%. You have to put your ego to the side. Make sacrifices. So for the Nets, I feel like for them to win a championship, like that someone has to make a sacrifice. I'm thinking it's gonna be Kyrie, but honestly, right now it looks like they're not gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices like right now because like you can see that they're playing together. It might have to be the other players that are on the team that are making sacrifices because they're even though it's 3 of them on the court, like they're averaging 83 points as a trio, so like it's working out. I'm not sure if they can do that the whole entire season, all 82 games, but yeah, I mean. Traditionally, you would like third person would have to make a sacrifice, but right now it's looking like they're working together and they're scoring. But I don't know about everybody else on the team, so it might be like the 4th option that might have to make a sacrifice. But if it's like if history replays itself with all the like big threes and stuff like that, where there's like one person that has to make a sacrifice some point in the season, it's probably gonna have to be Kyrie. But yeah. But right now, it looks like 3 of them are getting theirs. So, yeah. I mean, I guess Harden kind of sacrificed a little bit because he doesn't take as much shots. He's still getting buckets, and but he's facilitating more. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Those 3 guys are just so good. I don't think like really a big 3 or just other players on the team could stop them from doing what they do. To be honest, because the fact that you have other 2. Kyrie has like other 2 like scorers on the team that are like probably one of the best scorers of all time. He's still getting his. Like he's still scoring the same way. It's crazy, but it's happening. Yeah.
and it is the only way a star-studded trio will work. We have enough examples of failed experiments to know the other version of this does not work. So my question becomes, who out of these three all-time great offensive players is willing to take a backseat? Because no matter how you split it, one of them will have to. I don't see it being Kevin Durant, because although he is probably the most willing, the whole reason why he joined the Nets in the first place is so he could be the guy on a championship contending team, and he's just too good to play second fiddle to anyone. And I don't see it being Kyrie or Harden, since their entire game is built around having the basketball in their hands. They are not cut from the same cloth as Klay Thompson, or Manu Ginobili, or Chris Bosh. To them, it is their world, and we are all just living in it. And a phrase that I find myself saying more and more often, you cannot just throw a bunch of talent on a team and expect to win a championship. This is not how things work. We just talked about this. In fact, I feel like we always talk about this. And yet, here the Nets are giving up 2 young and rapidly improving players as well as 4 first-round picks for a player that is looking more and more like the problem with each passing
think it's going to be worth it.
Think about what the Rockets organization has done
like it
to
really
keep
helps
Harden
Levert
happy.
too.
First, they bring in Dwight Howard. Dude hated it and dipped out. Then they build their entire system around Harden. Didn't work, so they blew it all up and got rid of key pieces. Then they bring in Chris Paul. Chris Paul also didn't get along with Harden, so he bounced. So they brought in Russell Westbrook, hoping him and Harden would rekindle their once strong connection. And they also go to extreme small ball to better suit Harden's playstyle because of analytics. That was a mess, so they scrapped everything, got rid of Westbrook, got rid of Capella, traded for John Wall, and signed Boogie Cousins. These all look like moves to improve their team. But in reality, it was all to make their superstar happy and more successful. And what does he do to repay the Rockets organization? The man does this. Pair this toxicity with Kyrie Irving's "the earth is flat, third eye, I'm so woke" nonsense, and you've got possibly the least cohesive, nauseating, but freakishly talented duos we've ever seen. And Kevin Durant. Poor Kevin Durant. So, what do I think about this trade? I think the Nets had a bright future ahead of them with a stockpile of young talent mixed in with 2 megastars. They probably gave up more than they should have for a player that Houston was more than glad to get off their hands.
Maybe,
James
but that was the
Harden
only
is
way
an
they're
absolute
getting
force
Harden.
on the offensive end, but they already had 3 players
the
that
only
could
way to
fill
get
a
Harden.
similar role. At the end of the day, the Nets went from contenders to please God, we must win this title because we have officially gone all in on this roster. Regardless, I cannot wait to see how Durant, Kyrie, and Harden will play together once, or shall I say if, Kyrie comes back from his spiritual trip. I mean, short hiatus for personal reasons. So, I'll leave y'all with something interesting. A chart showing the most accomplished trios in the NBA.
That was crazy.
This chart combines
I mean, it
for
was
all
his
major
sister's birthday, but
accomplishments,
still, go to
such
work.
as championships, MVPs, scoring titles, all-star selections, defensive team selections, pretty much any meaningful accolade, and displays that number as one grand total for.
Then again, I heard that he gave money to George Floyd's family, and I believe he gave them a house. So he was doing that in his hiatus with not break that he had, but yeah. So I feel like that's a good enough reason if you're gonna take a week or 2 off to do that. But it just looked bad when he was at his sister's birthday party. It looked like he was doing whatever he wanted to. He just took a break, didn't tell nobody. That wasn't professional at all. He probably should have told Stephen. He didn't even tell his coach that he left, but no, he didn't tell his coach why he left. Is what it is, but yeah, it's weird.
Each NBA team's best trio. Enjoy. And as always, until next time.
It was like weeks later until they got the information, though. Fans did not know what was going on. Wait, okay. It's accomplished trio, sorry. Some weird music at the end, okay. yeah, that's it for the video, man. If you want more videos like this, say it in the comments. Hit me up with a DM at on my Instagram, night_tata. This was an interesting video, as expected, because it's JxmyHighroller. But yeah, it's 3 players in the Nets that are one of the best scorers of all time. Kyrie, one of the best point guards of all time. Best handles, probably. I don't know if he's the best handles of all time. It's like him or Curry or Allen Iverson. But yeah, you just have some skilled players on that team. 3 dominant players. But it looks like they're working together and they can win a championship. It's just about defense. Their defense is really bad right now, so they have to work on that. If they want to beat the Lakers, if the Lakers have Anthony Davis, hopefully Anthony Davis will be healthy around that time when they play them in the finals. That's my prediction. I feel like it's going to be Brooklyn and the Lakers in the finals. But yeah, this is an interesting video. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm trying to get to 1K subscribers ASAP. So yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. I know I've been away.